so we're late on the recording. So this one is lot one, and so the area for the septic system is on, if you look at the lot facing, basically facing the old Chateau Harmony, it's toward, right on the road and towards the right, looking towards the south. The design is for a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank with an outlet filter, 3 foot by 45 foot by 6-inch effective sidewall trenches. It's not vented. 444 gallons a day provided versus 440 required. Fill is required. The reserve area is provided between and adjacent to the trenches. 5-foot water table separation. Ballast is not required for the septic tank. Filtration control is specified on this one. The septic tank and then the wetlands location on this one is an issue. In fact, I didn't talk about issues. The issues on this one is
Dick, let me chime in on this. These are Bill Chapdelaine lots.
Yeah.
And we actually, DEP issued a superseding order about 3 years ago on this. And I believe there were default locations of the well and septic system on these, and they're very critically placed on the DEP approval. Neil, have you reviewed the DEP approval document on this?
I have never seen a
Yeah,
DEP.
see, that's the
approval.
thing, Dick. This is going to have to come back to conservation and probably go to DEP because they issued a superseding order. This is kind of complicated.
both of these. Then, given that, Bill, we can't approve them until Neil has looked at that and make sure that that we comply. Then,
yeah, because I was hoping Neil would review the existing documentation, of which there is plenty, and do his septic design in conformance with what originally had been permitted through DEP. So Neil, if you could talk to Dave Desolé and he'll get you all that information, okay?
Okay, good. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, Dick. Thanks, Neil.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so neither one of these, Colleen, neither lot 1 nor lot 2 will be, the board isn't taking action
Okay,
pending Neil reviewing the DEP prior approval and making
Okay.
sure that his design is consistent with their approval.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, then the next one, I don't know, is Lynn, I don't see Lynn Dinez here.
I'm here.
Oh, Lynn's
Okay,
here.
Lynn. Hey, Lynn.
You're the,
Hey, how are
you?
Good.
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. So we're trying to keep everybody kind of on schedule today. So
Okay.
we're gonna give you your shot.
Okay. I don't have much to say, so it should be quick. The only thing I want to report is you had asked me to do a pre-op on the grill next door. And I did that, I don't know, the 25th or whatever it was, a couple weeks ago. And essentially, it looks like they took like a food truck and put it into like a little building, I guess. And as far as as far as the food code is concerned, they have everything in place. But I just wanted to let you guys know that that fire and I believe someone from the building department or zoning or someone had not done their inspections yet. So I was the first one to get there. I like to go last, but I was first. So I'm not sure what is going to happen with that. But as far as what I saw, there's a few, minor things that they have to fix. But other than that, they're good to go on our end.
Okay. I did have some conversations with residents about what happens, especially at the issue with the Church of Christ and having their food events and not cooking their foods and sanctioned kitchens. And I did tell people that we were what we had decided about non-potentially hazardous foods and having the labels and to allow them to continue to sell. I did have a conversation with Brenda Knight, who cooks stewed tomatoes. And I said, for sure, Brenda, food, any kind of canned things with the risk of botulism is a potentially hazardous food. And Brenda asked, it's something for us to talk about right now. There's two things. She said, I am absolutely, for next year, that I'm absolutely willing to have my kitchen and her operation be a sanctioned, inspected kitchen. She said, but for the stuff that, it was interesting, for the stuff that she was making, she is the only one that makes it. And she said in the past, they attempted to do her work at the kitchen at the church or at the parish center, wherever the kitchen is. And she said the people that came to help wanted to take shortcuts. And she says, oh, you can't do that. You'll get people sick. So she understood very well that there are potential problems. A question that I had with her, with the existing canned tomato that she has, what happens if in fact she brings them there and doesn't sell them and just they give them to people? Is there anything that if you don't sell it, are they allowed to do that, to just give stuff away?
I believe, I mean, as far as the food code is concerned, if you're not selling it, then it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, as far as the food code is concerned, if you're not selling it, then there's no obligation on our end. But that's up to the board, I guess. But as long as people know that what's happening and what they're purchasing, and it's just given out, then it's just given out.
Yeah.
So
I told her if that's the way they wanted to handle it for this year, she said, "Oh, there's already 10 or 19 or whatever it is." She says, a bunch of my stuff's already gone," and I see that if they don't sell it this year, and then next year she's got a certified kitchen. But she definitely said, "See, I'm the only one that's capable of doing this." And so she understands very well that people can get sick by doing this wrong.
right.
So,
Okay.
So anyway, that's
So okay, all right. So okay, I'll keep an eye on that.
Please.
so. Are you done, Lynn?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
done on my end.
Okay.
All right.
We
Thank
get
you.
Thank you, Lynn.
So,
Bye. Have a good night.
Bye.
right. Now,
Thank
we're
you.
actually at Neil's point, and he was going to have the owner of 49 Barton Street with us tonight. I don't know if Neil did that.
Well, Colleen talked to him and told him he was supposed to log in.
Yeah, he
And I-
came into the town annex because generally I can't get a hold of him by phone. And I told him that the board would like him to come to the meeting, and I sent him the link. But I don't see him here, so I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we can maybe try to do that again. Before we go, let's see, we're 7:20. We're a little bit ahead. Take a quick thing. I am going to be gone, as it says at our last meeting. I'll be gone on the Sunday, the 16th of November, until Thursday, the 4th of December. Now, we normally would be having meetings on the 18th, which I won't be here, of November, and also the 2nd of December. So in terms of what options we could have, the one that I thought might be the best, but we have options of certainly having Bill and Lee meeting when I'm not here. We've got the provision that Lee is the chair when that happens. My suggestion was that we fit a meeting in at the end of next week. That would be, so we would be a little bit early. That would be in place of the meeting on the 18th, and then we skip the meeting on the 2nd and get back on our schedule on the 16th of December. But I'm hoping that we've also got I think Colleen's got some vacation time that's coming on the, it looks like early in December. So if we were to try to move it like to the Monday or Tuesday after I got back, I think Colleen is not there during that time.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah.
So what are Bill and Lee, certainly just saying we're going to stay on our normal schedule, and then on the 18th and the 2nd, you guys just meet alone. That's an alternative too. You'd be a quorum. I'm not hearing anything from Lee or
Dick,
Bill.
it's immaterial to me. Whatever you guys want to do, I can accommodate.
Thinking.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good both ways. If you want to do a Thursday the following week or something, fine by me.
That's fine, Dick.
Meet on Thursday the 13th. And then we skip the meeting on the 2nd. And then, so we jump from Thursday, the November 13th to Tuesday, December 16th. So we skip a meeting.
Okay.
And then if something happens, you guys can call a separate meeting, Bill and Lee.
Yeah, if there's an emergency.
Sure.
we can-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Colleen,
Yeah.
so that's what we'll do.
Okay.
Okay, that's done. The next one, I do have a question for this is on New Ludlow Road, the 2 fourplexes on New Ludlow Road. I did start reviewing them. I got some questions that Bill and Lee that I didn't do on my own. But one is that when we did the one, I think it's 8 West Street, the fourplex, the fee that we chose for the fourplex was $200 per dwelling unit. So that fourplex had an $800 fee. This one there's 2 of those. What do we end up choosing for a fee on this one?
Dick, how did we decide it's $200 per dwelling unit? Where did that come up?
Pardon?
How did we determine $200 per dwelling unit for a fee?
Well, that's where we did it. That's our standard fee for a house is $200. And at least when we did the one on West Street, we said, see, that we should do that for each one of those dwelling units. The question is that if you have two of them, is it that much more work to do two of them than to do one of them? But if they were done separately, it certainly is two of them.
Right.
I think this one, before we're done, is when we talk about the other issues with this. I think this one is, there's a lot to this. There's little area. We're really close to the brook, the Stony Brook. The system that proposed is I think a long way away from what we're going to end up going with, but got a front yard that apparently, well, the engineer isn't saying it, but he did a perk test that is clearly in an area that's 2-minute soil. It's all sands in there, but the front yard has been filled with all sorts of junky stuff. And so he just called it out. Oh, it's just soil. And it has to all be dug out. And
Dick, is this 51-53 New Ludlow Road?
yeah, it is. It's where
I'm
the
looking
two
at it right now
fourplexes
on
are.
Mass Mapper. Okay.
Yeah, it's right next to Stony Brook, just to
Yeah.
the west of Stony Brook, the northwest of New Ludlow Road.
Yeah.
You know, my concern, well, let's see if we can figure out what the fee is. Colleen, did you have a chance to look at the two fourplexes? There are actually two other fourplexes, but they're a long time ago. There's a one that Ali Kablock owned that's right near Bill on South Street.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was two big systems that went in there.
Walter Marquette designed that about 10 years ago, I think, or 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think,
there's
mhm.
and then there's another two fourplexes that are down almost as far as the apple barn, Dickinson's
Flange,
apple
that's
barn.
right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. I did look at those, and those both were older than when you instituted the fee for the multi-units. So yes, they were just what you were charging for the one dwelling. So I
Okay.
think it was in March of 2024, you upped to cover each dwelling. So
In 2024, that was our policy, that we did 200 per dwelling.
yes, yep.
So in answer to your question, Bill, that's how we did it.
So the question is 51-53. I trust there's going to be one septic system serving both of those units, correct?
No, it's going to be two septic systems.
Oh, so it is twice as much work then.
It is.
Okay, there you go. So I recommend then we opt for a $400 fee.
4 times 200, it would be $800 per
$800,
unit.
no, okay.
Right.
Lee,
I mean,
what are you
depending
thinking?
on the installation, this could be a lot of partial, given the limited area to work in, this could be a lot of repeating inspections as far as subgrade and partial installations going forward.
Yeah.
There's not room to put any spoils on the ground. The parking is very tight. The wetlands are close by. So myself and possibly even, you guys we're going to be running back and forth frequently. I fear, to this location, not because it scares me about going back and forth, but it's not gonna, they just don't have the room to stretch out and, do it in the normal fashion.
Yeah, that's a.
We may find out
Sounds
that,
like we just go by our policy that says it's 200 per dwelling unit, so each one of these is an $800 fee.
Now, there's a lot behind this
Yep.
parcel. Who owns that lot? Does this owner own that vacant lot? to
I
the
don't
rear?
believe so. This is a very limited space.
I'm, okay, if they only own that front parcel, boy, that's a tiny piece of land. Wow.
Well, the question that I'll be getting back to the engineer with is that he's got it designed for only 220 gallons a day per dwelling unit. He doesn't put the extra 110 in. He's proposing an Elgin system, which then reduces it again on size. And then because we did the perk in the junk soil, instead of saying, gee, this is 2-minute soil with a bunch of junk that's got to be taken out, he's then asking for only a 2-foot separation for the water table. And he hasn't designed for anything in terms of nitrogen reduction.
But
And
there's public water there, I believe,
there is public water.
which is a good thing.
Yeah. But in terms of what he does to what that system does to the brook is it's going right in that brook right away. And the other is that he's only called out for a 2,000 gallon septic tank for each unit. And the code requires that he does call for a 2 compartment, but the code says that the first compartment's got to be at least 2 days. So it's got to be 1,600 whatever and gallons on the first thing. So a 2,000 gallon doesn't do it. In fact, the one on West Street, because of that, has a 2,000 gallon single compartment for the first tank, followed by a 1,000 gallon single compartment for the second. So there's a bunch of work
But are
that's
they
got to be
going,
done.
are these 2 separate leach fields or a single leach field?
Two.
Okay, so each dwelling unit's designed at 440, correct?
Each dwelling unit,
Because if it's 880, if it's 4 times 220, that's 880.
right?
So it's 880 for the 2 buildings,
No,
each building.
right.
Oh, so this parcel has to take care of like 1760. Holy cow.
And on top of that, what we require is an extra 110 on each one of those.
Yeah. Well, we
So-
can waive that.
So but you guys answered at least what I've got to go through and work with Paul and see what we're going to end up with on that one.
Yeah. Wow.
So we've got a break at 7:35. So we have dealt with Paul's question. That we got, I don't know if Jeremiah I don't see Jeremiah here.
No, he's here.
I'm here.
He's here.
Jeremiah, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm well. And I think Lee and Bill and Colleen are.
Yep.
The reason we asked you to come is that we had a complaint, which is a potentially serious complaint. Well, the complaint is serious, but the consequences are potentially serious. And we looked at 2 issues with it, and it appears that one of your patrons went to get an ice cream and said, gee, this is according to the complaint. My child has a peanut allergy, and I want to be really careful that we're not in trouble. And then the child had ice cream and ended up having a reaction, and the complaint said that there were two issues. That one is that you didn't have anybody on site that was trained in allergens, but the other is that when you dip the cones in the, I'll call them sprinkles, but I'm not sure what we call them, but that on the counter, you've got one container that's got crushed chocolate M&Ms right next to another container that's got crushed peanut M&Ms. So we've got some things we wanted to talk to you about. Is one, what the people that you have on site, and are they trained
Yeah, so
legally?
yeah, so to go on this order, I mean I found the slip in the computer. I was the one that took the order. I'm fully trained. She never told me she had an allergy. I have the slip right here. She's the only marshmallow ice cream that we sold in the past month. It's definitely her. Her name is Donna. So Donna is the mom, it sounds like. It looks like Lori was the one that placed the order. I don't know if Lori's like a babysitter or a nanny or something. And Lori told Donna that she placed the order with allergies, but they never told me they had an allergy. I've never had an issue in 20 years with an allergy. We have a customer that comes in every single day that has a allergy. We have to use we have different equipment set up for allergies. So I don't know what happened. I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure that she didn't tell me she had an allergy. I would put it in the computer. I was the only one working that morning in the front. I was the one making it. I would have used precaution. Someone has a sprinkle allergy, which happens all the time. We grab ones out of the shed that aren't contaminated. Same thing with M&Ms or so on and so forth. Certain things like hot fudge, we let them know that we don't have a backup of hot fudge. You got to take it or leave it. And I was definitely on site. Um, and we always tell customers, certain things we can't guarantee are peanut free or allergy free unless it's vanilla chocolate or twist.
I got a
But
question. I
you
got a
have a
question here.
thing in place that it doesn't matter that these things are next to each other, because when someone says that you've got an allergy problem, that you go to someplace else and say, we're not going to work from that because we know it could be mixed.
Yeah, we do that.
And
So say someone orders sprinkles, we go to the shed and grab a backup of sprinkles that come out of the factory. Same thing with Skittles, M&Ms.
Dick,
So
I
yes,
got a
we do
question.
that. And we have special equipment and special cups for allergies. This person just didn't tell us that they had an allergy.
Dick, I got a question. Operational. Jeremiah, do you have signage in your establishment stating if you have an allergy, please notify the server? Do you
Yes,
have
we do.
signage to that effect?
Yes, we do.
Is
And
it
we also
clear,
have
is
signs
it
for the
clearly
staff.
visible to the patrons?
Yeah, it's on all the menu boards.
Dick, your audio is
you've got
cutting
the
out.
people, you
And
were,
on this order also that this lady placed, she had a kitty maple walnut. So I don't know if this kid ate that
oh,
ice cream and there's confusion from them, but they never told me they had an allergy. They had they had an allergy, a nut on their order. So if they have some kid that's that allergic, they shouldn't be ordering any ice cream with nuts in it, but they clearly did.
from my standpoint, we found out that you in fact did have someone that has direct training. The second is you do have stuff that signage to say, tell us about it. You've got your people trained to say, when that happens, you go to someplace else and don't mix it. And that you are aware that it is not a thing that you're going to separate out in the place that normal sprinkles come from. You just say, I'm not going to be dealing with that space because I can't guarantee it. That you're going out to someplace else that you can guarantee, and your people know it, and that's what you do.
Yeah, that is what we do.
So from my standpoint, those are the things that I would have asked if you didn't have it in place. I would have been asking and saying, gee, you should be doing this. Tell us what you're gonna do to do that. And I'm happy to hear that. And on top of that, you've got documentation that says, I found this stuff. And in this case, you were the person that
Yeah,
was
so I was the person taking the
involved.
order. You know, if it was a new worker, I'd be like, maybe they messed up, but I took the order. I've never had an issue, you know, especially for something this severe like an allergy. You know, they never told me.
Okay. Lee and Bill, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, all the points were addressed, and I'm very satisfied with not the outcome, but with the recall of the chain of events. So it's over in my way of thinking at this point.
Okay. And if we can't make certain things at the restaurant, we tell them. Like we only have one hot fudge pot, so we say, listen, we can't guarantee it. It's not free, and they either say, "Oh, go ahead," or they say, "Don't worry about it," or they say, "Don't put hot fudge on it." You know.
So,
Dick, your
just for my
your
own
audio's cutting
information,
out.
Yeah, I can't hear Dick.
Okay.
how can hot fudge be an allergen?
Dairy.
Yeah, Dick's
Go ahead.
adjusting his audio. But Lee, I agree
No, I
with you.
mean,
I think
okay,
Peanuts can fall
All right.
into it, or anything could fall into it because we don't have a backup. That's how it could be an allergy. Like just because there's no other backup, so that's all there is. Just like sprinkles can't be really
okay,
an allergy, but nuts can get into it, stuff can fall. You know, people have dairy allergy, you put
yeah.
sprinkles on.
Once you get going busy, things happen. I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. Yep. Yep,
Lee,
thank you.
as you're saying, my opinion is Jeremiah acted appropriately for the situation. So I am satisfied with his action as well.
Yes. Yep. I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, you've done what you're supposed to do.
Thank you.
And again, the signage is really, really important for these folks.
Yeah, it's on the big menu boards when they order. It says it right there. If you have any allergy,
Good,
let us know.
good. Okay. Well, Dick's getting his audio situated
Okay.
here. It's 7:45.
Let me see. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now, Dick. Yep,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
No,
move,
I was just saying that Jeremiah acted appropriately for the situation, in my opinion.
good. So it sounds like the
Yeah.
three of us said that also. Okay. We are 7:44. We've got 10 minutes before our appointment at 7:55. Let's see if we can get through the minutes. We did accept the Colleen's time sheet is the normal 70 hours time sheet. Are we okay with that one?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello,
And I am
Dick.
too, Colleen.
Can you
so
hear me?
that-
Okay.
Hello,
Yeah,
Alan Weiss. How are you?
good. How are you, Alan?
Good. Am I not down for 7:15? I've been listening.
Oh, you
Oh.
are.
I am really sorry, Alan.
That's okay. It's been very interesting dialogue.
Okay, I skipped you. So at 100 West Street,
Yes.
we do have I have a discussion because that's going to come up. Had a couple questions.
Sure.
One is that I noticed we haven't accepted the Title V on that one yet. We haven't accepted Title V's at all tonight, but that one is got some shallow to ledge, some holes. I find it interesting that the repair on that one said that there is no water table issues on it. You're not the one. I'm talking about Walter Marquette and it
Mhm.
was the board
I'm-
accepted.
Yep, I understand.
And interesting that Walter couldn't do a perk test because the soil was so wet from the high water table
I saw
that they
that.
had to take the soil and get it analyzed. Yet he says there's no water issue, which
Yes.
seems inconsistent at the least. And judging from the hills that are there and the shallow, it looks like Walter dug one hole and said there's some soil there. And yet someplace on the Title V it talks about a couple feet to the ledge. And we got it looks like a bad septic tank, a bad D box. And I actually heard scuttle that says that there may be some intent to either change this house or tear it down and reuse the septic system, get it fixed right now for this house, and turn the house into something very different. So I was going to say when it came time, Alan, to the Title V acceptance, that this board say that we're not accepting that as one that we're going to say that the SAS needs to be replaced. So go ahead. And you haven't had the benefit of Lee and Bill talking about this, as the board hasn't talked about this.
Are you asking me to go ahead or for them to go
Yeah,
ahead?
you can go ahead.
Okay. So I think, you've identified some of the problems here, and that's why I said it checked off the box, needs further evaluation. I will say that I have seen situations where water is especially in fractured ledge, where the static high water table is very hard to figure out in the overburden. And in this situation, I did not see any oxides. I was there with Lee. We dug 3 deep holes on 2 of the sides of the existing system, and I did not see oxides over the ledge. But I could not get to a depth really below the existing leach field based on the information we had on the depth of the distribution box and suspected thickness of the leaching stone. So I could not make that full determination. But yes, I had all the other information from when the system was put in. But and of course the owners would like to put a new septic tank in and distribution box. This was triggered by them wanting to add addition on the back of the house. And so the septic tank would have to be moved out a little bit, but not so much that it makes a difference, because the lot's only so big and the well offset will probably remain almost the same.
Al,
But that's about all I can offer here, because I was restricted by the information presented on that design,
I've got a
as well as
question.
all that
Are
work we did that particular day for the inspection.
Are we clear as to what the future number of bedrooms will be once this house is modified?
Yeah, unchanged.
Naming, which number is that? 3, 4, 5?
Hold on, let me pull up the report. I know it's unchanged. Hold on.
May I speak? The homeowner, Stephen Smith?
Oh, you're the homeowner, sir?
I am, sir.
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, explain your intent, please.
My intent is to put a 12-foot addition on the back of the house. 2 bedrooms still. My wife and I live here. We have no intent of selling. I heard there was scuttlebutt. They were going to turn it into something totally different. But no, we just want to rearrange the interior walls. We want to make the house nicer. We've been here for
8 years.
8 years. So I recently retired. I said it'd be nice to make the house a little larger. We could have
A bigger kitchen.
a bigger kitchen, a nicer house, and
Um,
that was that.
Yeah, I can add to that. Yes, it's two-bedroom existing. It's a two-bedroom design, but it was a 440 flow, if that helps you, Bill.
Okay, so the design flow in 2008 by Walt Marquette was 330 plus 110?
Exactly.
Okay.
But Bill,
Um,
the leach field is sitting on a rock.
Yeah, I reviewed the original or the design that was conducted in 08, and it said rock was at -7 feet. Al, you found that not to be true?
I did not dig under the leach. I dug to the south and to the west, and I did not find those depths.
Okay.
Possible
Has
it
there
drops
been
off,
a-
but
Has there been a change in the amount of property in the back of the house? In other words, was there some land that was sold or property line moved within the last 10, 12 years? Does anybody know? There's a power bracket out the back behind some bushes. Is that correct?
Looking at the house right now on Google Earth. Yeah, to the east of the house, there's the utility line, the high voltage utility line.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
boy, that lot's a small lot.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't believe it's changed over the years. I don't know. I came in here 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
The easy thing
So,
is well, it's maybe not so easy, but the obvious thing from this question is to get in and find out really whether there's certainly the minimum of 18 inches under the leach field. That you could look if Alan couldn't find any models. He's a soil evaluator, and Lee was there, so that if the leach field hasn't failed and there's the more than 18 inches, then that would, I believe, comply with our regulations as to whether the SAS needs to be replaced.
I don't know where else I could dig without hurting the system, and that's why I stopped where I did.
So, well, if you've seen a spot that's near the edge of the leach field and there wasn't 18 inches underneath it, then we don't have to go. We know that there's not 18 inches under the whole system, and it means that the SAS has to be replaced as well. That's what our regulations say.
We could try digging closer into the stone without trying to damage any of the piping. That's about all I could suggest to answer that question.
How close do you think you were, Alan?
Approximately 5 to 10 feet.
Yeah, so you're pretty close.
We did not, I don't recall, see any leaching stone. We talked about it, but I don't believe we did. I will say I just looked on the registry of deeds in response to that question, and it looks like the plot reference goes back to a plan from 1988, just so you know.
For a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Can't see that. I don't see the big issue that we've got a very clear regulation that says when we don't have that 18 inches, we have to do something
And,
about
and when was that regulation put in?
it. We've been using it for more than a year, but it's been put in formally maybe 6 months ago that it's been formalized.
Yeah. So there could potentially be many more leach fields in Granby, Massachusetts that are just like mine that don't meet your regulation.
Absolutely, there'll be some, and we try to catch them every time we can to try to protect people's water and
Yeah,
health.
yeah,
All the new ones in the last, you can be pretty sure that in the last 50 years, there's no new ones that have gone in like that.
that was put in 2004, 2005.
Yeah, and it was a replacement,
Yeah,
and the board did in the past really bend on replacements.
yeah. But it seems my car that's 15 years old probably doesn't meet today's safety standards, but I'm not replacing it. You know, that's the way I think about it. If it works fine, why would I want to touch it?
We get into your neighbor's well and poison them, then you'd be saying, your neighbor wouldn't like it.
Well, I severely doubt that it's leaking into my neighbor's well. It worked here for many years. It doesn't show any signs of being damaged or having breakout or.
In a case like this, you're right on the ledge, there's nice cracks in the ledge, goes right down into the ledge, doesn't get filtered, gets into the water table, moves down and gets, potentially gets somebody else without being. And my guess is if you were your neighbor, their neighbor, and your neighbor said, Board of Health, we just let this thing go. We said, you know what?
No.
He's been polluting, not him, but that system's been polluting for 50 years. Let's let it rip. And they'd be mad, and they'd be right.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I understand it.
So we are now at our time that we've said what I'd like to close on this one. I don't understand why we would say we're not going to follow the regulations that we've published. I don't understand that. Bill and Lee, help me.
Listen, I think we ought to have Al or another engineer or sanitarian go in there, do some exploratory, see how much depth they have underneath the leach field itself, period. Let's get
support that 100%. And that if Alan or whoever gets hired goes in very, very closely and said, in this case, for sure, we know that the soil changes pretty quickly. And we know that somebody witnessed a 7-foot hole on part of this property. So that I think it's worthwhile to go in and say, okay, let's be really careful and go into the edge of this system without wrecking the system and see if we've got the 18 inches that we require. And if we do, then it complies with what our regulation is.
I recall,
and if it doesn't, then we all say it doesn't comply. But a little work here could save a big problem. It could push it aside and say, okay, we're okay with this one.
Yeah, I recall house number 104, which is a fairly new house. It's only been up, 25 years. I believe there was an outcrop in the front yard there at one time. In fact, there was a house in the front. They demoed the house and built the house in the back.
Yeah, they redid what happened is they redid the septic system for that one before the house was demoed.
But I remember there being an outcropping in the front yard there at one time.
Yeah. So it sounds like that what we're telling the owner that we're not going to, in fact, require the replacement of the leach field. What we're going to require is, in fact, as what Alan wrote down in his report that further evaluation from the Board of Health. It's exactly what Alan says should
Yeah.
be done, and that's what we're asking for.
Yeah. Okay,
So let's get it done.
yeah. I'm in agreement.
Okay,
Hopefully,
so that looks like that, and it could turn out fine.
yeah, yes, it could.
Thank
Then
you,
when we're
sir.
all done, no one will say, gee, we didn't know enough about this and we made a decision based on something that wasn't necessarily the facts.
Yeah, let's get the data.
Okay. Now we've got people that have been waiting. Now that we did get Alan out of the way, which I'm sorry that I missed. So we can have George Fenn is sitting here. I see him waiting patiently, and we're just a couple minutes late. And we're gonna ask you to spend 15 minutes telling us what you wanted to do, George. And we've got some people here from the rest of the town that we've invited to listen to what you have to say. So go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Would you mind sharing the screen with me?
I'm not sure I can do that.
Oh,
Bill, how do I do that?
Dick,
Do you
in the
know that?
bottom, there's a little green box with an arrow up. It says share. Click on that.
Okay,
See if that
It just-
works.
did. And then do I go to entire screen?
I think you have to enable them to share though. Let me
No.
try it myself. Hold on.
right. Yeah.
Oh, it says sharing is not turned on.
Here,
So that
I'll,
Have a
means
screen.
you're the
I s-
host, Dick. You have to turn the sharing on.
Okay,
I just sent a request to share.
Okay.
I can allow it. Here it goes,
Good.
just allowed it.
And then George can hit share and it should work. There you go.
Okay, great.
Very
You
good.
got it.
Very good.
I just
Great.
did.
Excellent.
All right. So yes, good evening to you all. Thank you for giving me some time. My name is George Fenn. I'm with Local Power, based in Williamsburg, north of you. Let me see.
Hey, George, we got your Zoom screen up, not the presentation.
There we go. Is that working? Can you see that? That changing?
I've got a Zoom screen.
I see
you've
the
only got a
Zoom
Zoom
screen,
screen.
George.
Oh, it says it's Zoom.
Let me
Careful,
see.
I could make you guys all get lost. Because I've
Oh.
got 6 images.
Let me see. I think what's happened is that we've shared your screen, Richard. So maybe if you unshare your screen, Richard,
Sure.
that I should be
Yeah,
able.
I'm gonna see. We could
It
lose
also
everything
works
here,
if you
so
make George the host. If you make George the host,
No,
then
no,
he can
no.
do
Here, let me
everything.
see. Um. hmm.
we've managed to.
That's Dick's screen.
Hmm.
I've got on the top of my screen, I have an option, have Richard's screen or George Fenn's screen. When I go to George's, then
Oh,
I get
okay,
the,
I gotcha. I'm clicking on George Fenn's screen.
yeah, I think
Okay, there
that's
you
how
go.
I got it.
You know what? I
Now
think
I'm-
we should. We're not prepared to do this, George. You're gonna have to talk us through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do my best for that then. Let's see. All right. So, essentially we specialize historically in I'm sorry, I have to just figure one thing out real quick.
George, that we know zero about you. So
Yeah,
you
tell
can,
us about
you
your
can,
company
you
first,
can
George.
tell us something
Yeah,
about
who's
it
the
instead of
principals
getting
in the
into
company? How
details.
long have
Let's,
you been in business?
Absolutely. So we have been in business for 30 years. And mostly we've been focused in energy. Um, Specifically, you might have heard of municipal aggregation in Massachusetts cities and towns as an option to buy different power for a greater amount of renewable energy and this sort of thing. But mostly we've been in focus, more recently been focused on carbon reduction. So shifting out um, large scale generation to like solar panels and small scale municipal programs. I worked with a great number of different towns, Amherst, Northampton, Boston. We got involved in waste about 5 years ago because waste is a major cause of greenhouse gases. That was our sort of initial interest, and then also learning that there are some public health concerns around them. So the current options for waste are landfills and municipal combustors. The troubles with those two are with landfills, the limited lifespan, and leachates. And specifically, PFAS or forever chemicals, which are in a lot of different consumer goods and go through the landfills and then are processed in wastewater treatment plants. And we found that this was not a functional system, essentially. And so we became very interested in finding a way to process waste, which would process leachate, which would break down PFAS, and also would provide an alternative to incineration. The trouble with incineration being greenhouse gases, CO2, and then toxic air emissions, which you may have heard of in Pittsfield. There was one that was closed not too long ago. Um, and so our technology that we found, it's a company based in California, actually, and it takes waste and converts it into hydrogen and um, a variety of carbon products, but specifically limestone. And I'm sorry I don't have the pictures because I have many pictures. But in any case, the goal of this technology is to provide municipalities with a cost-competitive alternative that would be located in this region, would be able to break down forever chemicals, and then would be able to avoid the CO2 emissions of the current waste incineration, which is the alternative to landfills, and then essentially provide hydrogen and um, limestone in this case as commodities in the area. The technology is called thermal gasification or pyrolysis, which involves heating material but not burning it, essentially. And the benefit is that you can contain the carbon dioxide, the emissions, much better. And then it also leads to involves very high temperatures, which have been found to break down PFAS. The technology comes in a variety of different scales. Currently, we are just looking for municipalities to um, essentially communicate interest in the project, an alternative waste option, and then that would allow us to find a site in the area, develop a project assessment, which would be a detailed about the process and then the economic viability. And then if the town is interested, then we would negotiate a contract and involve the current waste manager that you have um, in that process in order to not disrupt your system. The technology is relatively new. Pyrolysis has been recognized by Massachusetts for some decades now, as superior to waste combustion. There's actually been a long-standing moratorium on waste combustion with an exception for pyrolysis. But there are not many facilities in the region. And then this particular version that we have, which is converting it into hydrogen, which is essentially a more specialized conversion. Pyrolysis generally, and I'm sorry I haven't explained this already, but involves the heating and separation of the gas, which is called syngas. It's a more generic gas. We then take that syngas and convert it to hydrogen. So that step is more unusual. It's a relatively unusual technology, but it will be financed by us, and we will go through an extensive regulatory process with Mass DEP to make sure that it is safe. So that should, I hope, take away some doubt in that regard. And basically, yeah, there is not any financial requirement that we were asking of you. Just essentially a letter of interest, and I have it in this presentation. I'm sorry not to show you, but I could send you the presentation, and you could see what that letter of interest looks like, which would then allow us to take the next steps. So I'll leave it at that. I'm
jump
sorry
in.
it's brief.
I got some
Okay, I'm gonna
questions too.
jump
Go
in
ahead, Dick.
and-
Yes, please.
and ask you to, I'm going to try to paraphrase what I think you said,
Okay.
that you would be in our waste stream, you would be providing the disposal end. You would be at the end of our waste stream, that you would be someone, not a company that would be collecting our waste, or you would not be consolidating or separating, but you would be a receiver. So that waste stream, if I were a driver of a waste management truck, we'll say, who is collecting our trash right now, or whatever, wherever it comes from, you would be someplace that these trucks would go to and dump it. And it
Correct.
would be under whatever terms you wanted, separated or whatever, but you would be the end person, and you would replace the landfill or the recycling
Or the waste
station that's in
incinerator.
West Spring
And
or
the
whatever.
incinerator, too.
Exactly.
You would replace those. And so in terms of, I see Tammy is who manages our town, is sitting there listening, and Tammy and I have talked that we, as I think the last time you talked to us, George, we said that we're at the point where we're evaluating what the town is going to do with our waste.
Mm-hmm.
And so where you could fit in this scheme, you definitely would be at the end. You
Mhm.
wouldn't be that person that Tammy is saying, hey, I'm going to call you, George, up, and you're going to give us the trucks that we need on a day-to-day basis. That's not what you do. You are
That's correct.
person that is saying, gee, Granby, if you want to do something greener with your waste stream, we would like to be involved with that. We don't exist yet in terms of having a facility, but we would like to build that facility, and we're looking for people who are willing to pay us to take their waste.
Yeah, no, I got a couple of questions for George too.
Yes.
Am I reasonably correct in that, George?
That's correct. That is reasonably. The only exceptions I would say is that we would also take sewage, not just trash. But other than that, I would say it is quite erect. Please,
Okay.
please, your questions, Bill.
So
Okay,
George,
go ahead, Bill.
yeah, George, the technology. So you're heating up the waste product, but you're not combusting it, and you're running it over some sort of a catalyst, I'm guessing.
My understanding is it is just heating up, and that just essentially degrades the material into these
But you're
parts.
extracting hydrogen and some other byproducts at the far end of the process.
Yes, there are
Okay.
different separation. Maybe it is a catalyst. Maybe that's a correct.
Okay, it must be, yeah, typically it's a catalyst when you heat
Yeah.
stuff up prior to combust. So, you're gonna collect the hydrogen and that's gonna be a marketable product going forward.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Okay, now, and I think you alluded to the fact this process has not been permitted through DEP as of yet?
No. No,
Okay,
it would go through a 3-year permitting process
okay,
that would involve a site that we'd identify, and then for that site and for that technology.
okay. And this site would be in this part of the state, the western part of the state?
That's the idea. The technology that we have, at least as we're envisioning it, it could be larger, but would be maybe 24 tons per day or 48. So it would be a number of municipalities,
Yeah.
but not something huge.
Okay, so,
No, it's
Dick,
not a
like
big
you were
thing.
saying, Dick, Waste Management would, instead of taking it to their landfill, putting it on their trains, sending it out to Oklahoma, wherever they send it these days,
Exactly.
they would send some of their waste product to George and David's company.
The question somebody's gonna ask, that with all these little faces that I have in front of me, actually, I don't have many faces. I only have 4 or 5 faces, but I've got a lot of little names. Somebody's
You
gonna
got the two
say,
important ones.
yeah, someone is going to say, for just rough talking purposes, what does it save us by going, what's the potential savings that when you start talking about 24 tons a day, that's tiny amounts of waste, but just what's other than for the goodness, and that's not a bad reason to do it for what it does for the world, but in terms of the immediate gratification that the townspeople would get, what kind of money? Is it more expensive? Is it less expensive? What?
The idea is that it would meet or beat the current rates. So we wouldn't be expecting any higher tipping fees from you. In terms of a benefit, one is that the capacity for landfills in state and out of state is limited, and from the reports that I've read by the state, by Mass DEP or its contractors, it will likely decrease. That there's a kind of crisis. And so I would say that creating a local option for you would likely stabilize your prices.
There's one issue, Dick and George, is that I think when we get our budget number from Waste Management or USA, whoever the candidates are, it's for haul and dispose. And I don't think they break those numbers out. They don't give us a haul number and a dispose number. See, you'd be taking over the dispose number. But since they don't do a breakout, then you can get these unbalanced bids and you get some funny financials. So you got to be very careful
That's
when you don't
very
have a
true.
broken out system.
We've mostly dealt with towns. We've
It's
mostly
something
dealt with.
that definitely we're going to have to work with Tammy on, but we also would end up looking at a risk reward analysis on this thing that going down and again, it's not something to talk about tonight. For sure, it's not. Is because we certainly could go down a road that says, "Hey, we're going to commit to this," and then find out it doesn't get permitted. Bill, you've been around. I think Bill, you've been along to see Herco.
Yes.
And I think you were around when we went through that, and it went that the state continued to actually get Partika Industries to spend more and more and more and more money to do more analysis, and then finally, when it was all done, the state said, now that we think about it, Holyoke's a lousy place to do that. It doesn't matter what your study says. We're not going to let you do it. So it's all gone. $50 million later or thereabouts, the state says, that was really a lousy idea.
Yeah,
And,
the idea here is that those decisions around contracting or anything binding for you would be a long way down the line, once we've done a lot of began the permitting. Um, right now, we just want to do studies essentially at this stage. So we're just seeking, as I said, letter of interest in the document, which I would have shown you. It's, says non-binding. It's just saying, whatever amount of waste you have or sewage that you have available, we can now do a study of this area, taking that amount of waste into account and decide whether it's economically feasible for us. And then we can design a proposal which we would give to you, and then that would sort of initiate the next step, which would be a memorandum of understanding, and that would involve another period of study, and then that would lead to your decision whether or not to have a contract. So anything binding on you would be a long way down the line. And as I said, all the financing would be done by us, so you would not be at risk in that respect.
George, another question. Are you involved with any universities or think tanks as part of this project?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so this is a private corporation then, or is this a public corporation?
It's a private corporation.
Okay.
The owner of it, it's called Waste H. I would have shown you more about it, but he's involved in waste conversion using pyrolysis for many years or decades. But this technology that he's found, which essentially is supposed to increase the hydrogen production per feedstock or waste, is relatively new. And to my understanding, currently he's working on a prototype in India, and has been having good results. But
George, I'm gonna tell you, we are now running that's 8:23, but I'm gonna have one other question.
Please.
And it's one that actually the few minutes that Tammy and I talked about this. If you look at the waste stream that you would be taking, how pure or how segregated does it have to be? Because that does in fact, as the town looks at its options of our current collection, doesn't separate waste very well. I'm sure someone would think they do, but it basically is the standard limited recycled stuff. With paper, we have 1 week along with just mixed household waste. So we've got paper, and then on 1 week that goes with it. Another week we have basically bottles and plastics and aluminum, and that's the other thing. So that we only end up with 3 streams. How clean would we, or how homogeneous those streams have to be for you guys to take them?
Not very homogeneous. The original technology, I think, used paper, and plastic is not a problem. So it should be quite tolerant.
Like you said before, George, it will take pretty much everything and then separate it down. You can end up with a residual that's metal and carbon and and limestone, but it also takes sewage, wet sewage.
Dehydrated sewage, yes.
Dehydrated sewage, right.
Yeah, we don't have any of it, so that our sewage goes off site in the limited area that
South Hadley, is that right?
Yeah, South Hadley.
But my understanding, and that would be something down the line to figure out. But my understanding is that they do have a dehydrator, so that would make that another option. But
Yeah.
but just trash would be fine. But yeah, but yeah, as David said, it's tolerant.
Okay.
The
I'm gonna have to cut us off here.
division is to make the waste disposal
David,
local. I'm sorry.
they have to go now.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
So we will let us talk about it. We've got some
Okay.
some very interesting people that listened to us tonight.
Okay.
And let's see where it goes, and we can get back. You can send the forms in, George.
Yeah, I'll send the presentation along.
Okay.
And where should I
Okay.
send that, please?
Why don't you send it to the Board of Health if you call Colleen at
Just to
our
Colleen.
office?
I've
She'll
got
give you
Colleen's
the
email.
information.
Mhm.
Okay?
I'll do that. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you, folks. Good
Good
to
night.
meet both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let us go through the Bill and Lee. Let's see if we can finish up the rest of the business that we have. We've got money turnover the total is 1,150. From that, 950 of Board of Health permits, 50 of Board of Health licenses, 150 Board of Health fees. That is it, totaling 1,150 to the treasurer. Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yes.
Rick.
Okay, the next one is, we have a bill. This is Lynn's bill, and she has got, let's see, she has got 19 inspections at totaling 1,630. So that's under the $100 an inspection that we had budgeted, and she has them. They're all listed on, depending on whether she had to do the forms. Some are 70, some are 100, but it totals 1,630, and it covers the period of, looks like from the earliest one is July 11th. The latest one is November 1st. Are we okay with those?
Yes.
Yes.
I am too, Colleen. That's approved.
Okay.
The next one is a license for a one-day temporary food permit for the Church of Christ, and it is for the Jingle Bell Bazaar on December 6th. Are we okay with this one?
Yes.
I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay.
The next one is an application for a well construction permit for Cushing and Sons. It is at Lot 1, West Street in Granby. This is going to have to be not acted upon. And I've got another one that is Lot 2. We can't act on these because these are the two septic designs that we turned back to Neil to look at how the state
Yeah.
permitted, so that these can't be acted upon tonight.
That's correct. Yeah, because the part of the DEP approval on the wetlands end were a very precise location of both of those wells. So I hope
Okay.
Neil gets a hold of that other documentation and
Okay.
reacts
So
accordingly.
those will not be acted on tonight. I have another one, a Lot 5 Carver Street in Granby. It is for,
That's Katowitz, isn't it?
looks like Cushing and Son. Oh, no, it is not. Colleen, I can't read. It looks like it's Cushing.
It's Cushing.
Okay, and
submitted
that
it.
one,
Yeah.
that one is located on, it is on Carver Street. It is a well that Alan, it may not be. I can't see who did this design. It's an approved design. I guess maybe it's Neil Jackson's design. I'm trying to see it. We approved it. It is a Neil, it's a Neil
yeah, Neil.
Jackson.
That was a design by Neil that was just approved. Yeah, just approved because the plan was done on October 11th. So I think it was the
Yeah.
last meeting it was approved.
Yeah. and we approved this and it's got the well located and we approved the design of the septic, including the location of the well. And he's just asking to put the well in that spot. Are we okay with that?
Should be fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bill, are you okay with it?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good.
I am too, Colleen, so that's
Okay.
approved.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's what we've got to be signed.
Mm-hmm.
The Title V inspection reports, that they're actually, this one says there are two, but there are actually three. One is the new one that was 87 Morgan Street. And that was a pass. That was, that's at the house that the barn in the back burned.
Yeah, that's Turgeon's old house. Yeah.
Turgeon's, and it's that one was a 1,500 gallon tank and plenty of water table separation.
Mhm.
Lee, are we okay with that one?
Yes, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, the next one that Colleen you sent out and it was to be looked at.
Oh.
That was 84 Bachelor Street.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was up for discussion. That one was listed as a pass. I've got a problem with that one. That house, if you're on Bachelor Street coming from Amherst Street, just as you hit Porter Street and take a right, this house is right on the corner, on the south side of the road. There's a Bachelor Brook comes up to the back of it. There's a little stream that runs right through this property. The stream is about, I'm going to get a foot below the grade on much of the property. What the inspector said is that they looked at the septic tank. Someone dug a hole for the septic tank that was 8 feet deep, but the top of the building sewer is 5 feet below the grade, and that's in a high area. And if you look, the property drops off and it goes down into what I can tell. It's in the two, and they're two leach pits, so they're lower than the tank, and it appears that they're down or close to the area where that water table is probably 2 feet below the ground at that area. So it certainly would appear to me that these leach pits are underwater.
Dick, that's 163 Bachelor?
No, this is 84.
84, let me
84.
look here. 84.
So that would require a deep hole for sure.
Yeah, where the leach fields are,
Yeah.
where
the stream runs right through their yard. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So it would need deep holes at the leach pits.
Yeah. Wow.
So that one requires, Colleen, could you get back to Bob Norman and let him know? I'm not exactly sure whether Bob Norman is doing these on his own. It looks like the stamp is the Neil Jackson
Well, I
stamp.
think he's doing them on behalf of J&P Engineering.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so.
So he's doing them as an employee of Neil.
Yeah.
So I guess you have to get back to Neil then and say that this one isn't accepted. And in fact, I'm not sure when you went out, I'm not sure you had all the information about where the system is, where, what it's comprised of. It looks like, you go out and look at it and Bob is looking at something and then he fills in the rest of the stuff afterwards.
Yeah, we were looking at component structure.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. And there was a brief discussion about water table, and there was some topic about there was data on file, but I don't know that there really is.
Yeah. So we're gonna tell them that we just have to get some holes dug out there to make sure that the bottom of the leach pits is 18 inches above.
Correct.
I guess it's kind of the same thing as the one at West Street.
Yeah. Yes.
We've got let's see. Hang on, I pick up my agenda. We've got the next one is the 14 West Street renovations. That's the school. From what I'm gathering, as we've watched this project seem to be unfolding, or what we read about and we've talked about, saying, how come we're not involved? Apparently, we were supposed to be involved. And we have to now be involved because we've got, at a minimum, the septic systems are systems that if it's anything, if the soils are anything like the soils that I've witnessed around there, they do not meet Title V. They, from what I could see in the literature, it looks like the newest system may be installed in 1972. Maybe, I'm not positive, but it seems like that. There's some in the literature that we've been given to review. I can't see that the Board of Health has been involved at all on the evaluation of the septic systems, which they have to be. The other is, I remember when I first got on the Board of Health, that Franny DeWitt telling me how horrible it was out there, and that the reason that the 1950-ish edition septic system was no good because there was no soil out in the playing fields, and they actually had to put a pump system that goes on the other side of the hill to the west of the main property. I'm guessing it's on a knob. I'm guessing there's probably not soil there either. The other that I can't see on the drawings is the oldest section of the school has toilets in it. And I see nothing, any place that says where that sewage goes. And it looked, if I just looked at the physical location, it looks like it probably would end up going near where the well is. So from that standpoint, as they move forward, they just cannot move forward. I can't see that Tom can give a building permit because this requires analysis of that septic system, and we require that on Title V inspections that the Board of Health be there. So that's one thing. I looked at other things that are absolutely not addressed, and that we've lived through what happens when systems don't have adequate ventilation to protect people's health. And a modern, safe health system should be having air changes. They should be for energy management. It should have heat exchangers to be taking the energy back out of that air and it needs to be for a safety environment. It needs to be air handle engineered. And I've seen nothing in this report talking about it. The other is I don't know, Bill and Lee, that on my third comment is that I think does belong in the Board of Health area when no one else is doing something about it, is that the proper use of energy and emissions and what's happening to these buildings and the use of the buildings, that it looks like there's nothing involved with this. That I don't see anything looking at energy conservation, to deal with insulation, that may be insulation, window type, window replacement, but also energy sources. I don't see any of it. They talk about, the boiler being replaced, but I don't, if you look at the new, well, it's not so new anymore, but if you look at the public safety complex, if you look at the library and start looking at solar or geothermal, and I don't see any of that stuff. And somehow, if somebody doesn't say, hey, it's not safe for the people of this town to have this big building that some of it's 100 years old or older, that's using tons of energy and throwing out pollution into the environment for, I don't know, 10, 20 people, whatever, and say, how can we not be speaking up and saying somebody's got to be looking at that? And if it's not the Board of Health, then I'm not sure who's going to do it. But I think my view
Tom's
is
here.
it
Tom's
is
here,
a health
Dick.
concern.
Tom is
But,
here.
but Tom, before you come in, and Len, before you come in, why don't you, that's just my 2 cents worth. But Bill and Lee, that the purpose of this meeting was not to resolve any of these issues, but to say, what is the Board of Health going to be saying to whoever that's got some authority of moving this project forward? What is the Board of Health going to be requiring to look at and recognizing it's late, but that's not the Board of Health's fault at this point. We should be looking at what we as 3 members feel. So Bill and Lee, before anybody else has a shot at talking, what are your thoughts?
Well,
Am I getting,
no,
did I
I
get
agree.
through?
I agree, Dick. I wish we had been involved from the get-go. I don't know why we had not been involved from the get-go. I think we bring a lot of expertise to the table, which would have assisted the building committee in pursuing the project. It's a little late to get involved now, but I think it's not totally impossible to assist. But Dick, you bring up very important points: wastewater and environmental control systems in the building and energy systems. And we have Lynn here. I think Lynn's chair of the committee. And I think, Tom, as building commissioner, have you reviewed any energy related systems for this project at this time?
I've sat down with the engineer. There's a design professional involved, and as far as the lighting, the ventilation, energy, the windows, all that will have to meet the code. They have a design professional that'll all, meet that. We haven't gotten specifics into all that, but that is all going to be covered for you under the building code. I have nothing to do with the septic, but that's why, as they've noted, all the windows going to be done, all new system. And it is separated from the old, the old section, but the whole new section will be separated. And I believe, from what I'm told, majority of upgrades are done so it can take the capacity of the additional section if it was ever redone. So that will all be before that permit's issued. will all be taken care of. As far as, I have nothing to do except with the septic. But as
Okay,
far
so
as all
you're
that,
saying the HVAC system is going to be taken care of in a professional manner by licensed engineers. Okay.
yes, all that, including, like I said, the windows, U value, anything with the energy, anything, lighting, all that will be taken care of, under the building code. And the people they're working with right down, I know them, worked on another project with the OPM that they have is very good in my opinion. So,
Well, I did see the luminaire schedule. The luminaire schedule was very impressive. I'll say that. But as Dick's saying, the wastewater, again, Scuttlebutt says it's being pumped somewhere near the salt shed. Dick, is that your opinion? It's someone up. I'm looking at a aerial photo right now, and there's a clearing near the salt shed. There's a clearing to the east. Is that where the leach field is?
Bill, one of the systems, if you go on Crescent Street, so if you leave Porter Street, go on Crescent Street, and just before you go down the first big dip, you'll see a little spot on the left. More than my guess is it's rock.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at that right now. Can you see that?
Not well, but anyways, we don't have to do it tonight.
Yeah,
it's just that we just have to say what is the board saying that we want to look at, and the question is, what I read is that in the next week they're going to issue contracts to do stuff. So it just sounds like, as you said, Bill, it probably says it doesn't matter. Then we're gonna, if it doesn't matter, and it's damn the torpedoes full speed ahead, then the board has to say, is this important enough to us? From my standpoint, the septic is that's just stuff that if you don't deal with, you start polluting water and you hurt townspeople. And if it's been doing it for a long time, it's still, as we heard tonight, the board would say that doesn't make it right. It just means it was. And if we just say too bad, we're doing it, then our board has to decide, are we forced to take legal action to try to stop it? So we're not at that point, but
So
I'm
my
not happy that we're at this point.
Do we have any preliminary data that any firm has, in fact, visited the topic regarding the functionality of the current septic system, or is it just been left alone for these last couple of years? Do we have anything about that, or not so much?
Lynn, have you hired anyone to look at the septic system?
I wasn't sure if I could talk, so I was just listening.
No, of course, no. Hello, hi, how are you?
Hi. Yes, we had engineers come in and look at all those issues that you're talking about, Mr. Bombardier. The septic system was looked at originally when the building was going to be the bigger project, not just the 11,000 square feet. The septic was looked at to see if it could handle the amount of people coming in and out of that building. Now the project has been brought down to 11,000 square feet. And from what I understand, after it was looked at and tested, that it can indeed handle the amount of people coming in and out of the building. But I mean, our intention.
I'm gonna ask you, has any member of, because I know the answer already, so I should just ask you. The board takes a very hands-on approach with this, and we know that that area is very limited. Did any of your engineers talk to any member of the board? Did they have the board witness the test?
I don't think they did, but I do have the architect on, he is on the screen as well as the OPM. So if either of them can answer that question. Oh, Tim's coming on.
Hi,
Oh,
Tim Woodman with EDM Studio. Unfortunately, I believe you're right that we did not reach out in terms of the engineer when they reviewed it, but we cannot, part of why we wanted to get on the agenda, open the conversation here and figure out our steps forward is to rectify that issue.
Well, at least two of the issues, and I know Tom talked about meeting code. We dealt with the school, and during the COVID problem, we dealt with the town buildings, and the state code hadn't really come up to date with getting air changes that protect people from that type of contamination. And we did a lot of work with the schools and actually got them with air changes so that I think we had virtual and behavior changes. We had virtually no COVID transmission within the schools. So that is a really good thing. But so ventilation for us to protect the people in the buildings is a very, very important thing. And it's not necessarily the same ventilation that you use to conserve energy, unless it's designed to conserve energy. So that for instance, East Meadow School ended up with high airflows, high exchange rates, but they didn't have the ability for energy reclamation. So it was a very expensive way. The high school is very different. The high school had very high recirculation rates with very low outside air rates. So for us, looking at the ventilation, rather than just saying, gee, we've got some CO2 monitors and that's how we control air. And in fact, when you're controlling contamination and disease spread, controlling the CO2 is a horrible, horrible way to control ventilation. And so that's really important to us. And I was working particularly with Chris Martin to try to be controlling the safety, air quality, and safety for people involved. So that's a really important thing to us. And we'd like to be involved in our board's case. We think it's more than energy management. So we're going to start looking at 5 air changes an hour or something those are high rates if they're not coupled with heat reclamation. So that's the other. And from Tom's standpoint, in terms of energy use, I guess he's got a code that says we'll meet code for energy.
Yes, we're
energy
following
use.
the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code.
Yeah.
Dick, we'll
we
review
do
the
that.
HVAC proposal by the design professional, that's all. We'll start reviewing that when it comes in.
Yeah, we can
that certainly if
the full
we
package.
as a board saying we're going to try to take some of our town's money and make it so our town is safer for the rest of the people in the town, we'd be saying, instead of just looking at at the state energy code, is this an opportunity for us to say, let's be doing something better than that? But again, it may be the horses may be out of the barn and for sure that understanding, going back to the sewage, which hopefully would well, it's going to get to the sewers are going to have to be dealt with. As I said, it's been a long time since I didn't say this, but it has been a long time since I've been in that old building. But those toilets flushed that 100 years ago, and if you look at the drawings that we got, I didn't see any pipes that said that. So there is a pipe next to the well that I don't know if it's sewage, but anyway, so it sounds like our board is saying that we'd like to be looking at those three things. I think that what the board is said, the three members of the board that's meeting, and I think we feel the same way, is that we are in a spot that we can help, that we don't want to sit back and say, oh, let's throw some rocks and try to stop progress. What we really would like to say is that we've got a ton of experience on the board. That we're probably looking at, I don't know what we have, 110 years or something of experience on the board. So that we've got a lot. We've watched the town, we've watched this site, and we're really, really good at solving problems. Really good. And so we're very, very anxious to try to help and do something that we can all say, wow, what a neat thing. Isn't that something that the town needed? And we took this great opportunity and we all worked together and we got this done. So are those the three kinds of things that we wanted to look at, Bill and Lee?
So you're saying HVAC ventilation systems, septic systems, obviously, and the well.
Oh, the well.
And the well. So
sure.
it's actually four.
Yeah.
And energy systems. But there's a little crossover with Tom's department on the energy, so we'll work together with Tom on that.
And the town is working towards getting that public water supply put back into place too. So that's they're using that McClure that the town is contracting through.
Okay. Hey, Chief, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good, very good, Kevin.
It's great that you guys want to help out. It's just, again, we have a budget we have to live within too, you know?
Right.
We can't say if it's the wrong budget, it's the wrong budget. But we really can't be in a spot that says, okay, guys, we're 2 weeks away from giving it. Sorry, we didn't ask you. Now, please keep your mouth shut.
They didn't say that.
That's not fair.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that at all. But I'm just saying, you know, there's we have engineers that have been working on this, and the ventilation system was. I know Chris had mentioned that when we were working on the project to start with. I just think, and I think everybody in town knows this project has been under design. So it's to say that it's a big surprise. I don't buy that either. You know, we gotta work together. This is a project the town needs.
Wrong project isn't what the town needs.
I didn't say that either. I'm just saying that, you know, to say that like this is some big surprise. Come on, that's not the case. This has been going on for like 3 years.
All we have to do is, if don't want to throw stones, But all you have to do, one of you guys, all you have to say is, oh yeah, we called them up. Quite frankly, I look at the town meeting and say, gee, I see stuff get turned down and overrides get turned down and the project keeps going. So I don't know where I really don't know where the project is. But at this point, from the Board of Health standpoint, how you don't have anybody from this board that's on the committee. And all I'm asking is, did one of you got anybody on your committee? Anybody?
So, Mr. Bombardier, I think, you know, with the, we had gone to the select board several times over the past 2 years to inform them where the project was, what we were doing. We didn't really get any, or I didn't get any supervision telling me that I needed to get the Board of Health involved until just recently, which is why I started sending the emails and talking to Colleen to get you guys involved. And I'm sorry that it's so far into the project, but I didn't really have any of that direction from anybody until very recently.
Right, and Chris Martin was involved in actually exposing the septic system and looking into that a little bit. So I guess maybe we assumed that you guys were involved a little bit. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not trying to cast stones. I'm just trying to say that, you know, we have a new town administrator now that's working with us as well. But Chris was involved with exposing the septic system originally.
That and the well, to get the well reactivated. So assuming that there were things being done behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of, apparently that wasn't getting done.
If I were you guys, I would throw it right back in my face, and say, okay, you just said you wanted to help, not to hurt. Now, what are you going to do? You just open your mouth. You're telling me. I'm telling you to tell me, Lynn.
Well,
Say,
yeah.
Dick, you open your mouth. Now, what are you going to do to help us out of this spot? We're in, the whole town is in this spot. Now, let's get us all out of it together.
Okay.
So let's do that.
There you
So
go.
the intention
That's what we
is.
should do.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Tammy, you're muted.
Oh, Tammy's here. Tammy has to unmute.
So we ought to get to the spot.
Hi.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi, Tammy. How
Hi,
do we
Dick.
get this done?
So this is what I'm going to say. Obviously, I started June 2nd, right? So, you know, Chris obviously had a lot to do with it. And I think we honestly just need the Board of Health to obviously help with this. And we would like for you to help this project go forward. With that being said, what steps do we need to do to go forward to bring the Board of Health on board with us? I think that's where we have to go, and that's what we have to do going forward. So if you could tell us the steps that we need to take, I think it's very important for the town for this project to go forward. So I would assume that everyone would be on the same page as what I'm saying, including.
I think that the biggest thing that we can do right away, that the potential showstopper, is understanding the needs of the septic system. That can be really fast. We have to get somebody out there. We've got an unknown about where the septic system is of the oldest building. We don't understand what Bill pointed out. We've got the one that if you look at in the middle of the athletic field, the one that's the pump that's there that Bill talked about, that goes over the top of the hill. And then they've got the one that is the newest one, which is the 1972 one, I think. So that to get off of get out of the starting blocks there, we have to get the engineer you're working with that's got whatever his soil guy or girl is, and with the Board of Health, and get in and get the drawings, dig some holes, find out. The biggest thing is find out where the water table is and whether we've got ledge problems. So those are the two big things that says they are the potential showstoppers. And if we get into trouble there, then we've got to get into the spot that says, how does the board end up working with your engineer to get, if those are problems, you end up needing variances. You end up needing specialized designs and variances.
So,
So let's
Mr.
get
Bombardier,
those.
I do know that was done, and I don't know if Tim is still on, but I
Still
know
on,
that
yes.
we dug, we saw the ledge. I don't know how far down it was, but that was actually all done by the engineers. And I think the end result here is we're hoping to actually sit with you guys and show you all the stuff that has been done. I don't know what your questions are other than what I'm hearing right now, but Tim, are you?
Well, we can do that. You can get that data and let's look at it and see, maybe all that work has been done. And
Let's
again,
look at the data. Let's look at the data, Lynn. That's all.
we'll look at the data.
That's the first
And
thing.
the fact that it was done, again,
You know,
it should not
traditionally, the Board of Health
surprise
witnesses
your
these
engineer.
polls.
It should not surprise your engineer that the Board of Health would have wanted to have a witness there.
That's
that
right.
should not surprise them.
That's right. That's why I'm
But-
curious. That's the odd thing. The Board of Health typically
That's
is a
right.
witness to these events.
But so be it. We are where we are. Let's look at the data. And if we are looking at the data, if the board says that's just not enough data or the right data, let's find out what we need to do that's over. It's the kind of thing that someone hires a backhoe. We get all of these things are fast to put together. It's not like things that say, oh, it's going to take a month for someone to do this. It's a thing that says in 2 days, can we do that? That's the kind of thing that, so digging up, that's the number one data that we should be looking at right now. The rest of the stuff we talked about, air changes, energy, that all can be handled at whatever the design part is that we can look at. We would like to be a part of that. But right now, for sure, the septic system and the well stuff are the thing. Those two systems are critical to get done. And since it's getting cold, it's important to get them done now. It's way easier to get it done. And for sure, if there's $100,000 needed to replace septic systems, then we should know that now. Because I noticed in the report says, oh, that may need to be done. Well, you have to find out if it needs to be done, because it's a big expensive thing, or it can be. So why don't we do that first?
So have you seen a report or not?
No.
Well, you just said
we've seen what Lynn is sent out to us, which is pretty superficial. It does, as Bill says, it's certainly got lights listed, and it's got switches listed. But in terms of those,
yeah, Kevin, we need the detailed soils report. We need the very detailed nitty-gritty report.
Right.
Okay, well, just the way Dick was talking, he was saying that, he said something about superficial and maybe it needs something. So I didn't know if there was a report that you'd already
No.
seen.
I think we reviewed the summary. It was like an executive summary that we reviewed, Kevin. We need the detailed nitty-gritty technical details. That's
okay.
what we need.
All right.
And that's
You want to know what the soil is. You want to know what the soil is. We got to do the soil testing.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
there could be soil logs and where those holes were dug compared to where the leach fields are. The company probably has some drawings of what the tanks and the leach fields. Probably, I'm guessing there are some designs around.
I don't
think they're in the Board of Health office. I don't think so.
I believe we had something, and I believe Highway helped dig some of those holes back.
They did.
We can even ask Dave and see if he has anything as well. I can check with him tomorrow.
I know Dave was the one that did the digging for us and found out how where the ledge started. But
Lynn, do you remember Who was the firm that was the engineering firm? Do you have any recollection of that?
Was it Robert Hall?
No.
Tim?
Guntlow.
Oh, Guntlow.
Oh, Vince Guntlow up in Williamstown. Okay, I know him. Okay.
Able to do that. Who
Okay.
can dig that stuff up and get it to us? That you can either get it to Colleen and she can get it out to us. If you can get it electronically, that's fine. And so what we ought to do is understand what it is that we know from that stuff. Is it good enough that some of it needs to be redone or has to be done in a different way? Let's find that out and get it locked up and get it off the list and get it, because those again, that's the one thing that you can't easily just design around to say, oh, we're going to change this or change that. There could be some fair issues with it. Just the fact, as I said, just the fact that that system that's out in the middle of the field ended up having to be, from what I could see from the drawings that you sent out, that it appears that sometime in the past, that system that's out like in the middle of the playing field where that pump is, that system was abandoned because they couldn't, even then with the old regulations, they couldn't fix it there. And that's why the pump and the system was put over on the other side of the hill. And that was a long time ago. So it says there's a good chance that there's something in here that is gonna bite us. So we should understand that.
Mr. Bombardier, you're not talking about the where the kitchen went out to, are you? Because that system we knew wasn't working and but we're not dealing with that system.
Well, there's from the drawings, again, the drawings that you sent out are the only ones that I have to work on.
So the drawings, do you mean the site review plan drawings?
I don't know what you call it, what
Some
the
existing
document is
building
that you
features
sent out.
on it, Dick. It had the leach
There's a
field.
drawing, there is a set of documents that you sent out that has, Bill, what did you have? It's got
No.
4 drawings, 5 drawings?
It had an existing leach field that was abandoned right behind the building in the field, in the ball field. And then it had a line going to the northwest, or I should say maybe the 10 o'clock position on the
Towards
page.
the salt shed that you were
Going to an
talking about.
unknown location. And I
Right.
think
So that's one. And then there's another one. There's another one that goes, now that one you're talking about, Bill, on that drawing you sent out, Lynn, says there's something in there that was abandoned, that it failed. The
Right.
leach field failed. And that's when they put the pump in, from what I can see, when they put the pump in and then went over towards the salt shed. But then there's the other one that I believe says that it was put in 1972.
That's right.
And that's the one that I think the kitchen went to, but it may not have been, because there's also, and I don't know where they went, but there's maybe, does the new building only have one set of toilets up at the top of the stairs? I think that may be it. But there were toilets there that I think that drawing shows those toilets going to the cafeteria waste. But I don't know that. So but that area of the property, that whole area in the front and to the west, so along West Street, that whole area is almost all ledge right up near the surface. So more than likely that leach field doesn't have an ability to work, not legally. So that's why when you look at what's been done around there, there's a good chance that says, "Whoa, there's a problem that we're going to have to work around." but I'm guessing what you could end up with something that says, gee, you're gonna have to have a system that controls nitrogen and that ends up being raised up with pumps. That's what I'm guessing, and that the Board of Health is gonna have to say, okay, we're gonna give variances for separation between ledge, and we're gonna have to, but we're just gonna have to work with it and get it done. But let's get it defined. So if you can find it out, we can't, ordinarily I'd say, oh, let's go in the Board of Health files, but even in 1972, there was no Board of Health. I think that's probably, maybe Board of Health was around then, but it was the Board of Selectmen that was the Board of Health that did that at that time. So it's someplace in there that and for sure that early Board of Health was not a very sophisticated Board of Health, and the rules weren't very defined at that point. So let's who can do that? Len, if you're the chair. Okay, let Lee talk.
I'm sorry. Did somebody mention earlier in the conversation that they did in fact run a test for functionality, or was I hearing something?
I believe we had, because I recall we had run water through bathrooms, bathroom fixtures to verify which system was going to which. So I'm going to reach out to Guntlow and try to get as much of the data as I can from them from when that was done. And Lynn will tag team it between that and what we have from the highway department.
So what possibly occurred was that there was somebody running water and there was another person or two at the
other end,
site, right, who was witnessing the pump cycle and having the water at that location, we think.
Yes, in order to verify which bathrooms and which fixtures were headed to which system.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Dick, how many systems do you think exist for that part of the building? One system or two systems? It's unknown.
It's unknown. If I were to guess, which is a lousy thing to do, but I would guess that the cafeteria had its own system, that the toilets in I'll call it the new whatever the 1970s, early 70s thing maybe had its own system. There are notes on the drawing that I remember Franny DeWitt talking to me about, which is the one that's the early 50s edition. That's the one that's out in the field with the pump. And I think there may be the other one that goes for the oldest toilet. But I don't know. I don't know where those go. That's the one that I fear if you look at the drawings that Lynn did send out, you'll see there's a line that sticks out of the building right near the well. Mm-hmm. It looks like the line that you see with a septic system. Looks like that, but I don't know that. So we've had a little bit of work, but if we got the data, let's figure out. Can you give, since we're focusing on, I think as I said, we should focus on this one. What kind of time frame do you think we can do to get this to go on? We'll have to. I'd like to not have it from my own standpoint. I'd love to be involved, but I'm going to be gone from the 16th of November to the 4th of December. So I'm going to be gone for a little over 2 weeks. I'd love to get something done before that.
Oh, we can get you this stuff in the next couple days.
Good.
Yes, Tim?
That's the goal.
Okay, then what we'll have to do is make sure if you can send it out to us individually, we can't talk about it without being open meeting law violation. So the three of us, in fact, because we only got three members on the board, that any two of us can't talk. So other than if we're in a meeting that's posted, what we can do for sure, any one of us can talk to any one of you, as long as you don't become a conduit that makes it so, let's say Bill and I talk together by talking to you, Lynn. That's an open meeting law violation. So we can't do that. So, but in terms of doing this quick stuff through, if we look at it and say, well, we definitely need to look at what's going on and we have to discuss it, then it just means we got 2 days that we have to post it. That we'll post it and we'll meet it. We'll have a special meeting.
That'd be perfect.
So, but let's not let the things just go on. You heard that we're going to be skipping a meeting in December anyways.
No, time is definitely of the essence. So we'll get it. We'll get it to you.
Let's get this part of it
We'll
done.
work this out together. We'll work this out together.
We can get this done. The other stuff, let's go and try to go through. I think the other is going to be. I'm guessing that the ventilation systems aren't going to have the right air changes and they're not going to have the right heat exchangers, but they're not monster costs.
We
They're
have
not
an
monster
energy
costs.
recovery system that we're using. I'll check in terms of heat exchangers. You said you wanted 5 an hour?
That's what we were looking. That's what we did look for the newest ASHRAE stuff is looking for 5 to 6.
Yeah, I know they are meeting ASHRAE 62.1 2019.
Okay, so maybe we've already got it, but in any event,
I'll verify with the mechanical.
Yeah, that stuff's easy to do. It shouldn't be really expensive. It shouldn't be big stuff to do, but it doesn't have to be. It's not at this part of the project that for sure doing this part. What's in the ground is really important right now.
Well, here's a question for Tim. Tim, do you have room above the ceiling, below the roof deck for ductwork? Is that easily obtainable?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay, good. That's good. That's easy then.
I think we can really, really get through this.
Yeah.
We'll get it
Mr.
done.
Bombardier, do you have any issue? I sent you the consent order for the well. I sent all of you the consent order from the state to reactivate the well. So that is currently being worked on. We're waiting for the engineer to come in and do the testing.
Yeah, they'll have to do that. The problem with the testing right now is that you definitely need to understand what's going on with the septic system to find out if they're in the protected area. Like for instance, if the oldest system is within the protected area, we have to find that out. And the other is that doing well testing that where you're worried about contamination from septic systems that haven't been used for years doesn't give you an idea of whether they're really going to get contaminated.
I think the state came in and looked at that though.
Well, they may have. I'm just saying from a practical standpoint, if you're worried that your septic system is getting into your well and you haven't used your septic system for 5 years, you can be pretty sure it's not in your well because you haven't used it for 5 years. But once you start using it, you certainly could find out it does. But it's not going to matter because at this point, if we deal with a septic system, which we will, then we're not going to be in the spot. As long as you don't reactivate the septic systems, then the work you're doing on the wells should be okay.
Well, would they be looking at all of that as a public water supply anyway?
No, they're not. They're going to do
Okay.
they'll be looking. Well, they're going to be looking at what's inside the protected areas. But if we don't know what's in the protected area, but if we don't know that, then they're not going to be involved with it. But it's a pretty small radius. I looked at it. It looks like, other than the one that I was afraid of, is the that I don't know anything about, is the oldest system. Is that one actually looked at? It's not listed anyplace, but it looks like it could be in that radius, and no
Yeah,
one would know.
the pipe runs through it, but the actual septic and leach field is falling outside based on the plan.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna have to look at. But again, if we don't activate any of this thing, it's not gonna cause, it won't cause any well problems, because it's gonna stay the way it is. We're gonna make sure what we have doesn't contaminate that.
Correct.
So we should be okay with, if by being smart right now, we should be okay.
All right, then what I'll do is I'll make sure that in the next couple of days you get what you need, and we'll go
Yep.
from there.
Good.
Yeah.
And as a committee,
And
I
if
guess,
you-
as a committee, we apologize. Like I said, there was some miscommunication. We had Chris looking into it and thought maybe he was dealing with you guys. It was just,
We are where we are.
all right.
And if the goal is to cause all sorts of trouble, then we can try to cause all sorts of trouble. If the goal is to try to get this done and make sure we all end up with something that we're all happy that we're involved with, and we help get it done, then that's what we should do. And how we got here, we can't do a single thing about it, other than the next time we all say, you know what? When it's bigger than we thought it was bigger, let's make sure we reach out and try to ask for help sooner on the next project. But right now, we're here. Let's get this one done.
Awesome.
We'll get it done. Don't worry.
Great, thanks.
Okay,
Well,
thank you, everybody.
On another note, quickly, Bill, the radio project, they're going to start working on stuff in the next week or two.
Oh, good. So you got ironed out with Crown Castle?
That part hasn't been ironed out yet. They're going to end up, sorry to interrupt the Board of Health, but they're going to doing a
The
modem
microwave
system.
links?
They're going to put modems in place until they can get the cell tower stuff straightened out.
Excellent. Cool. Very, very good. Excellent.
Awesome.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you for spending all this time with us.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Reminds me of COVID
Have
Have a
days.
good night, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Tammy.
folks.
Bye.
Before we all leave, we've got
I got
We've
about
got-
4% on my battery, has 8% remaining.
okay.
Yeah,
My
We've
battery's
got-
got about one.
We've done the meeting schedule. We've got a Granby Bow and Gun Club information and versus outcome. Colleen, you sent that out to us, but I don't see that there's anything that we're supposed to be doing.
No, Lee asked me to put it on the agenda, so I did.
Lee, what is your thought that,
I guess what I'd like to do, maybe I'll do it on my own if they'll let me, is contact the district attorney's office to see what we can do to bring this thing into control, for everyone's benefit. Mike Polchapek's been putting up with this thing for years. He can't harvest wood on his adjoining property. The people in Belchtown are having, obviously, ricochets, damage their houses. My goal, I guess, if I had my way, would be to make it either a state-of-the-art range or close it down. It's that simple to me. It's not safe. It shouldn't
it's
be
certainly-
operating.
the letter from the district attorney wasn't a very happy kind of letter that Colleen put out.
No.
It kind of made me feel kind of sad that the people that are at least there, that were, out there, the snipers and the people that are being trained to protect us won't cooperate with the state police to try to find out why houses are being shot. It's kind of a,
Well, that speaks volumes to this entire scenario, which in my way of thinking, if you can't get a Connecticut police department to turn their weapons in for a ballistics comparison test, then why should the town of Granby host them or any other department to continue this activity? It's complete nonsense to me.
If we take the lesson that we just asked the committee working on the school that we just talked about, and apply it to us right now, and reach out for help and try to get people involved instead of working really hard at trying to do something. And is this the time, you know, I talked to Chris a long time ago now about do we want to throw the Board of Health behind this? And at the time he said no. But let the attorneys, the town managers deal with this thing. Is it a time for us to be reaching out to Brian and say, you know, you've got something in the town that's a gun range that is likely not designed in accordance with accepted standards, that they've got weapons that are still lethal out at the distance that these houses are seemingly without the protection to stop the bullet from going out there. Do we ask the attorney if he wants us to say this is a health problem and go after it?
This is permitted by the Board of Selectmen, I guess, this whole operation.
I don't know, but I look at this committee that we just talked to, and I have no doubt these people are working really hard at trying to get something done. And we were in a spot that we could have helped and didn't know they needed our help, didn't know enough about the project. And are we going to do exactly the same thing if we go out on our own and try to do it?
Good point. Good point. Yep.
Is our first step, should our first step be one to reach out? And I don't know who to reach out to. That Tammy is Chris's replacement, but I don't think she knows enough about it. In fact, when I first talked to Tammy about it, she didn't know about it. Is it Brian? That's the person we should go to and ask.
Yeah, or the district attorney's office in Springfield, who may, I'm guessing, knows volumes about the regulatory process, and maybe some basic equipment and or standards which we may not be meeting locally.
My question with the district attorney, I don't know how, Bill, you think about it, but if there's stuff that's going on at a local level and we jump into the district attorney, that we may be really messing the works up at our level.
Yep, I think we ought to digest this report. I think we ought to think about this for a while before we do anything. Let's do some deep thinking before we act. That's my opinion.
Mine would be if we want to reach out and just tell Brian that we've got a copy of this stuff. Is it the time that the Board of Health should be getting involved? Because if I have to believe one way or the other, it's going to end up with legal battles, with things that we don't have a budget for, that
Right.
it ends up, it's going to be Tammy who's ended up, and through the attorney, to fight this battle? Do we reach out to them and say, hey, if you guys are in the middle of it, we're concerned that this is happening, and we're concerned that the letter from the district attorney is saying it didn't move very far. I don't know. I'm just asking what is, as a board, what the three of us think is the best way to try to reach out.
Well, yeah, certainly, I mean, Bill's comment is valid, as, you know, read the report over. My comment to the district attorney was one of simply disseminating information to use to protect our town residents and our neighbors in Belchertown from this type of activity in the future, which, as Mike Pochapek has pointed out, it's been going on his property for way too long. But yeah, let's kick it around, read it.
The question
Well,
is the range currently open for high power rifles? I don't know. We don't know the status of that range right now.
Again, that's where I thought I read someplace in the paper that said they're shut down.
Oh, okay. See, we don't know. We gotta get the facts. Like anything else, we have to obtain facts before we start taking action. That's my.
Well, if that's,
Yep.
I'm
That's
more
correct.
than happy. I'm more than happy to let Lee be the guy that calls up Brian and say, hey, just as much as we're talking now and saying, what's the right way for this board to behave?
Mm-hmm.
And to do it in a way that hopefully that our own attorney is dealing with the district attorney. I hate to do end runs. I usually get in trouble with them.
Yeah. Let Brian be our mouthpiece. That makes a lot of sense, Dick.
You want to let Lee, as long as you are concerned, we all are concerned, but you seem to be
No,
willing
I get it.
to grab this. You want to talk to Brian and see what his thoughts are?
Absolutely.
That's good. That's a good
And I
plan.
can report to the board at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Please.
And then he can find out, if he's got things that he's suggesting that we do, then we can do it. But at least, as I said, I look at that last group of good, hardworking people who just didn't end up going in exactly the right way and didn't know they weren't going in the right way. And I certainly know right now, I don't know the right way.
Yeah, none of us do until we're down a dark alley. Yeah,
Okay.
I get it.
That's why we
Okay, so we'll do that.
Yeah, do some thinking. Talk to Brian, see what Brian has to say to start with.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Now I've got on the next one down. We did our meeting schedule. I've got approval for the building. There's two different things we were supposed to do with that one. Bill, do you have things that you've got for the building department that you've approved?
I looked at 100 West Street. We discussed that tonight. I looked at, there's another one we looked at. I think that was the only one that I acted on this week, Dick.
Okay.
11 Griswold. Colleen, we looked at that a couple
Yeah.
of weeks ago, so that's completed. That one's
I
complete.
think that one's done, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was one other one.
Did you do anything with 415 Bachelor or no?
Yeah, well, 415 Bachelor, I believe they've hired a consultant to investigate that at this time. So that
Hi,
one-
good evening.
I got a call. In fact, the homeowner is right with us, but I did get a call from that engineer today, and he sent out a drawing. I don't know who got it, but there's a drawing of the drawing is one that shows a significant increase in the size of the building. Got I believe, a two-car garage in the basement, and then
A room
on
on
the
top, yeah. Yes.
and one of the on the main floor, there's simply a great room, and then I believe it's called a video room or a TV room or a movie room, but the movie room it's got the engineer told me it's got a 5-foot door going into that room, but the room also has what looks like it could be a very, very nice walk-in closet. And it's definitely a bathroom that's got a shower and a tub and a double sink. And the room that certainly, and what the owner did tell me is that originally it was going to be a master bedroom suite. And when you look at it, it certainly looks like a master bedroom
Good
suite.
evening, Mr. Bombardier.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's nice to see you. Thank you
Yeah.
for
So
allowing
that's what you weren't, as I told your engineer, said you weren't on our agenda, but if he sent it in, since we know he's not going to be available for our next meeting. So I said, if you put the thing in, we'd at least see if we could talk about it so you don't end up losing a month.
Thank you very much for taking the extra time to review this and speak with me. I saw that you just mentioned when you reviewed our plans, you noticed that with the extra square footage over the garage, there's a bathroom, and there might have been a concern for a bedroom, but we're actually using the extra square footage as just living area because we already have enough bedrooms in our existing household. So since we needed a garage, we figured we would use the additional living space as just a great room. And we did add an extra bedroom just because there was going to be a little bit more of an elevation. So we figured, the flow would be nicer. But there's no bedroom.
What we look at is whether it has the potential to be another bedroom. And
I don't.
Your other engineer that talked to me, and I talked to this engineer the same way about it, is that if it ends up being another bedroom, we would be looking first. Is you have to check to see if your system is okay. That's what would be the normal case in all of these. You have to check and see that the tank's okay. Basically, it does a Title V. Assuming it is, the engineer would be looking and saying, "Gee, given the current loadings for septic systems, does it fit the Granby Board of Health regulations for the potential number of bedrooms?" So if you put a pair of French doors on that 5-foot opening, that turns into a very beautiful bedroom suite, master bedroom suite. Anybody looking at it says, that is a beautiful bedroom suite. And when I talked to your husband about it, originally, he actually told me, he says, I really like a boat. And unless I build a house with an addition with a nice master bedroom suite, I'll never be able to get my boat. So I know that was in his mind. And when you look at it, you say, it looks like a beautiful thing. So anyways, that the normal way we would do that is we would say, get the engineer to say, yep, the system works. And then they say, yep, when I look at the way that the thing was installed, it either has I'm guessing that, I'm just guessing that it is going to work, that the system is pretty new and it's going to.
Yeah.
Now is the existing house 3 bedrooms currently, Ms. Wright?
Yes, it is. My existing house is 3 bedrooms, and the additional space over the bedroom is is just meant to be a general living area,
Okay,
kind of.
but if you did call it the fourth bedroom, then the question is, was the system originally designed for 440 gallons per day or more? That's the question.
Well, it was.
So according to my original Board of Health approval when the house was built, I'm holding it right now in my hand. My design flow is a total of 55 gallons per person for 50 gallons a day.
450. So think it was
440.
designed as a 3-bedroom house with the
Not a
110.
3-bedroom house. What I
Yes,
call it, the original,
because I'm not adding an extra bedroom, sir.
but it's the potential, the problem that we look at. And when, I don't think anybody other than me got this drawing, so they haven't seen it yet. And we haven't talked about it yet.
Okay.
But we typically would look and say, could that be turned into a bedroom? And I think the board is going to say yes. However, what I looked at is to say, did in fact it have extra capacity even that when they built it? Because lots of times they even put more than the 440 that was required. The other thing that I asked that engineer, and I talked to this engineer that was
That's me. I'm
involved.
on the call, Dick.
Okay. And that engineer, I said, if you instead looked and said, let's go through and see what these people have in their house. It's a pretty new house. What if I looked and said, they've got 1.2 gallon flushes. They've got shower heads that have already been knocked down to 3.2 gallons a minute. They got a new washing machine that does 12 gallons a wash. Their dishwasher is a pretty new washing machine. That all the things that the state says that we didn't base that 55 gallons per person or 110 gallons per bedroom on, that Board of Health that you called and you said, make sure you do that and add another 110 gallons besides, to come back to the board and said, these people have already done all these things to reduce their flow.
Right.
So that even though that the potential for a bedroom was more, they've done these other things that just are way lower. When you guys ask for more than the 330 that's required by the state for a 3-bedroom house, you got 440 or 450 or 460.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they've also already are water conserving people. So this should be a no-brainer. We don't need to do anything with the septic system. But that needs to be what the engineer, but it's not for me to tell the engineer. That's what our answer is going to be.
Argue this. They have to put an argument together.
Well, to say, hey, Board of Health, don't make them do anything.
No, Mr. Bombardier, the building inspector just requested the Board of Health's blessing approval that we can go forward with the building and that our septic system is sufficient enough for our current house, which is just 3 bedrooms. That's
Yeah, but that's what you have to. That's what the engineer has to come to the Board of Health. The Board of Health doesn't do that.
The engineer
does
permit
that.
link to have the engineer write an evaluative report, and that's what he will do or she will do.
You're not going to be the only person that does this, and it's a good time to do it.
If I may speak on this, after our conversation this morning, Dick, I did ask the homeowner to look at their appliances, and what they reported to me is that their dishwasher is a Frigidaire dishwasher that is in the energy saver mode, uses only 4.8 gallons of water per cycle. The toilets are 1.28 gallons.
I'm not going to let you do that tonight. You're not going to do it tonight. You have to give us something and say, I did it. Here's our report. I'm giving it to the
report, please.
And then the board can act on it. And that way, everything, what we do, when the next person comes along and ask the same question on the same project, which is going to happen, we want to be treating everybody the same way and use the same kind of logic. And when you put this thing down in writing, we can look and say, you know what, this is a straightforward thing that we haven't, that extra capacity, even though you and I, Peter, had talked about the state saying 110 gallons per bedroom per day. We're not challenging that. We're looking at
Right.
that extra 110 that we made to be put in there and saying, is it okay that we let this homeowner say, even though this is a potential bedroom, it's not even a real bedroom, but you can rest assured somebody's going to turn that into a bedroom because it's a beautiful bedroom.
Oh, so it's when plans are submitted with the square footage and so forth, I'm just a little confused. It's automatically assumed that the extra square footage is a bedroom?
If it can be used as a bedroom, yes. It's a potential use of a bedroom. I don't think this is gonna cost you, my guess is this isn't gonna cause you any trouble at all.
All right,
And
thank you,
can
Mr.
have it
Bombardier.
exactly the way you want it. That's
Thank
what
you,
I
Mr.
think.
Bombardier. Thank you.
But
Just don't,
Peter, we need a
you're
report.
right on the edge. Let Peter's not gonna be around for our next meeting, but we are gonna meet, and Peter, make sure it sounds like you've got all the information that you need, other than someone's gotta look at that system to make sure that the tank is good, the D-box is good, that, it's a good system, which I think it is. I don't think it's old enough to be troublesome.
Right, 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you should just do that. Lee will get in and be there when you look at it. And I know you're going to be gone next week, so if you can get this done, it's only Tuesday, get it done this week, get this thing behind us so that next week when the Board of Health meets, if we agree, we get this thing through, we tell the building inspector we're all set, and this is all behind everybody.
Okay, very well.
Mr. Bombardier, are you requesting a Title V?
Yeah, you are gonna end up, the code does require that you take a look to make sure that your tank isn't rotted away, and I don't know, in this particular case.
Yeah, I had that done in September of 24, if is that relevant, if that's useful.
It might be, see what it is, let's see what
Okay.
it says. Because especially if Lee looked at it and then.
Yeah, the Board of Health gentleman was out here on the property in September 2024, and
You
yeah.
haven't been in the house that long, have you?
No, I bought this house in 2016 and it was built in 2009.
Oh, so let this, you've got an engineer that knows how to do it. He's gonna be gone next week, so you have to push him to get this done, because we're meeting next week. And we're not gonna meet for a whole month after that, so
Right,
we're meeting next
on the
Thursday.
18th. It's
So
an
let's get this
unusual
thing
date.
done.
The 18th we're meeting.
18th, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
okay.
very much, Mr. Bombardier.
Okay, thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Okay,
Oh,
all right, pushing 10 o'clock here.
Mhm.
so it looks like Colleen went to sleep already.
Yeah. I'm going to
Just
sleep.
about,
I
just
can
about.
see a little part of your head sticking up above the.
I'm still
That's
here,
just
but
wishful thinking.
I'm fading
Well,
fast.
we covered some interesting topics tonight, and I think we got a lot done. That was
What we didn't do, as long as Tom is sitting here, then let's go to bed, and we won't do it. In terms of rental units, not looking at, although we got another one that's a problem on Ferry Hill Road with Micheline, but on rental units, if the Board of Health were to say that if you're renting a unit, you have to have a supply of water, sewage, and the house has to stay warmer than 50 degrees for 3 days if you're renting a unit. It's not anything to do with ADUs. It's just saying that's what, when people live there, they need to be able to live, and you're taking money for it. What, did we lose Lee too? I
Dick,
lost-
No, I
No,
think
no,
he's
I'm
here.
here.
Dick, did you see that article I put
Yep,
in your
I'm here.
mailbox?
Oh, I didn't.
What, that article from the Globe on the residential housing code?
Oh,
I put it in
but
your
it's
mailbox.
interesting that if you looked at that and say, we're not saying you have to have light, we're not doing anything. We're just saying the basic things that say you're being paid to have a safe place to live. And you need to have water and you need to have sewage. And for places that have public water, and for most cities, it's not a problem. But in Granby, it could be a problem. So we still have not made up our mind on that. The other one, the last one, Bill, that you probably are going to be reviewing, because I saw a drawing of it on Ferry Hill. Micheline is putting what appears to be a whole apartment in her cellar. The only thing it says is, I'm not putting a kitchen. Although when she puts a hot plate there, she's got a living room, a bedroom, a toilet, a shower, and then says, "Oh, I'm not having a kitchen because my parents are too old to cook, but they're not too old to walk up and down the stairs to go get their food." And so on a thing like that, is that, when you look at that, Tom, do you say, "Oh, there's no kitchen there, so it's not an ADU"? It's everything except it just didn't have he didn't put a kitchen.
Well, I mean, I can stipulate that it can't. However, I guess actually I can't. I couldn't do that. I guess
But
the
Tom,
thing,
it
if you have a
doesn't-
concern, what we've done with basements, that they could become a sleeping, a bedroom or anything like that is what, and this may be something that the board, as the board you'd want to look into, is have that applicant have it a letter written and have it notarized and registered with the deed that'll never be used as an apartment. I've done that. Northampton does that, and that's one thing I had learned with, because I run into it where they're doing a bedroom and the other communities would just sign off on it.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't put the people through any of this. And so then I'm stuck with the fact that, all I note on my final letter completion is not to be used as a bedroom.
But it
It's
doesn't
like when
pass
somebody
the
doesn't have a
straight
CSL
face
and I
test.
know they're flipping a house.
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
cannot
pass
give
the
them a
straight face
permit,
test. That's right.
if they're gonna rent it or live in it.
Right.
So, I'll have them, get the letter, register it with the deed, and go from there. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's very tricky,
Yeah, well,
but
on this one, you say, "Gee, it's got a bathroom with a shower. It's got a room they call a living room. It's got a room that they call a bedroom." And then they say, "Yeah, but it's not an apartment."
It doesn't pass the straight face test. That's the point. We're all smiling.
but
All smiling. And then they call out the square footage at 780. So it's like they were aware of a 900-foot limitation. Oh, we're below 900. We're at 780. So we're good.
well, if 6 months down the road they were to decide to make it an ADU, it doesn't matter. Now it's a change of use and it's got to be brought up. So, that's where, of course, at this point it is up to the 10th edition for building, but everything else would trigger if they later on decided to change it. So to do it at the beginning is the best time. Have your protection for, fire and everything else, splitting the units up in that. But
That's right. I wonder if it has a separate door. We should look and say if it's got a door to the outside. Well, they have another, it's in the basement, they have to have another room, means of egress, right?
There's no egress
right, well,
door. And if
it's just the regular, if they're using it as a rec room for the kids in a bedroom, the bedroom would need an egress window. And, 54 inches to the opening, got to be 20 by 24. Bulkhead will work, even though bulkhead doesn't have to meet the code, but that's an egress for that for that, but an ADU is gonna need two, a bulkhead doesn't cover as an egress. The
Oh,
stairs, I
Yeah.
mean, you'd have to do a lot of work to get the stairs, your rise and run and everything. So that ADU triggers that too. You're absolutely right, but I think that's a walkout. Isn't that one a walkout?
It might be.
I think so. So it'd be easy to do an ADU now if they wanted to, and you know, just go through the process and get your sign off for the bedroom if it's possible, and whatever electrical and plumbing inspector would require, and but
They're definitely turning it into it's turning into an apartment. It's just it doesn't have the kitchen. And if you look and just look at where the plumbing is and say they're all set up that they're just, you know, their bathroom has got a spot that right on the other side of the wall. They've got a stab in for a kitchen sink drain. They've already got their hot water there. They're off to the races.
Yeah.
so as far as the building code, you could have 8 kitchens in a house. So that's where the tricky part comes in, where a community doesn't allow, you know, an accessory apartment.
Yeah.
And
The accessory apartment has to have a kitchen?
well, yeah, it's accessory just like an ADU would have to have it.
Yeah, but it does has to have some kind of kitchen.
Correct.
But like you said,
So we're gonna have to look at that. We're gonna have to look at
constitutes
that
a
and see if
kitchen?
they've got a hidden kitchen.
Yeah, what's a kitchen? A
In there.
sink and a hot plate and a refrigerator and that's it. A stove.
Yeah, but if we look at that bathroom and see where the plumbing is, we should find out what they have for plumbing down there. Because I'm not sure there's plumbing below that floor,
There is.
but there might be.
There is. I question
is.
the cost, and basically it's just buying the fixtures for the bathroom now. So,
No.
you know, because our online permitting is open to the public, so I do get questioned, how did they do that for that cost?
I
And
saw that.
basically, you know, that's a newer home, so it's all framed, it's all
Yeah.
insulated to code, you know, to meet their blower door and HERS test. So
Yeah.
all that is all in, you know, it's an easy remodel for her.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
For that money, yeah. Wow.
So we could look at that and see.
Yeah, that's in review. That's on my review list.
Place is becoming a bigger and bigger problem for us. That's the one with the well that's not on the lot.
Correct.
Yeah, I forget how did we resolve that?
She's got a thing
carved out.
well, she wouldn't do it. I think what they did is say that it was too hard to carve it out, and they did a thing that since it's under common ownership, she wasn't going to sell the lot until they put a second well in.
Oh, that's right. You can't sell the other lot until they put a well in. That's right. That's right.
So that's how we handled it.
Right. Right. Okay.
There are all these things.
Like I said, so when I do a letter of completion, if there's anything that you want me that's legal to, you know, put as a stipulation, the only bad part was that is if, you know, the owner of whichever property sells it and, you know, they sell it as an apartment, they think it's an apartment, it's a nightmare for all of us and the expense of the town to challenge it, you know, which,
Yeah, I know. That's where you'd rather go after it now. That's the, you know, it's just this woman that was just in here that, I don't know. I looked at the drawing that the engineer sent me, and boy, they've got a big great room, and then they say, oh, we've got this other room. I think it's an audio visual room or something, but in that room, it's got a big walk-in closet, and it's got a nice big 2-sink bathroom with a shower and a bathtub in it and a toilet. And I said, I know it's a very, very nice master bedroom suite. And I said, well, we've got a 5-foot door in it. And I say, yeah, that and 4 hours of work and buying a 5-foot French door from Home Depot, and away we go. We've got ourselves our bedroom suite.
Gotta love it.
yeah.
No
So I had one
building
question.
permit?
Yeah, did you review, and I'm just thinking of it now, 11 Griswold at a
Yes,
bedroom.
yes,
Did you guys give the okay on that one?
yes,
That ring a bell?
yes.
Yes, they had a system that was already designed for the extra bedroom.
Perfect,
They're all set.
perfect.
They were good for that. They got their engineer and the engineer said, yep, I designed it. It's a brand new system and I designed it I think he had to design it. I think it was a 2-bedroom house and he designed it for 3 with an extra 110 gallons. So it was a system that was all set for what they wanted to do.
Good, good, because the contractor's coming in tomorrow because it was all started. The permit isn't issued yet, so they're coming for pay double the permit. And the poor homeowner, kind of got stuck in the middle on that one.
Okay, so they're okay.
Good, thank you.
Very good.
So
Tom.
are we good for tonight?
I hope so, Dick.
We better be.
Well done,
Well,
though.
good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night,
Thanks.
good night, and thank you.
Good. So let's see.
All right.
I'm tired.
I'm going to
Good
bed.
night.
I'm
Thank you,
exhausted.
everyone.
All right.